Through prayer, God speaks to us and we speak to him. A young man had just attended a Wednesday night Bible study. The pastor had shared about listening to God and obeying God's voice. The young man couldn't help but wonder, does God speak to people? After the Bible study, he went out with some friends for coffee and they discussed the message. Several different ones talked about how God had led them in different ways. It was about 10 o'clock when the young man started driving home. Sitting in his car, he just began to pray, God, if you still speak to people, speak to me. I will listen. I will do my best to obey. As he drove down the main street, he had the strangest thought to stop and buy a gallon of milk. He shook his head and said out loud, God, is that you? He didn't get a reply and continued on toward home. But again, the thought, buy a gallon of milk came into his mind. The young man thought about Samuel and how he didn't recognize the voice of God, and how little, Samuel ran to Eli. Okay, God, in case that is you, I will buy the milk. It didn't seem like too much a test of obedience. He could always use the milk. He stopped and purchased a gallon of milk and started off toward home. As he passed 7th Street, he again felt the urge, turn down that street. Half jokingly, he said out loud, okay, God, I will. At the next intersection, he turned back and headed down 7th. He drove several blocks, when suddenly, he felt like he should stop. He pulled over to the curb and looked around. He was in a semi-commercial area of town. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst of neighborhoods either. The businesses were closed and most of the houses looked dark, like the people were already in bed. Again, he sensed something, go and give the milk to the people in the house across the street. The young man looked at the house. It was dark and it looked like the people were either gone or they were already asleep. He started to open the car door and then sat back in the seat. Lord, this is insane. Those people are asleep and if I wake them up, they're going to be mad and I'll look stupid. Again, he felt like he should go and give them the milk. Finally, he opened the door. Okay, God, if this is you, I will go to the door and I will give them the milk. If you want me to look like a crazy person, okay. I want to be obedient. I guess that will count for something, but if they don't answer right away, I am out of here. He walked across the street and rang the bell. He could hear some noise inside. A man's voice yelled out, who is it? What do you want? Then the door opened before the young man could get away. The man was standing there in his jeans and t-shirt. He looked like he just got out of bed. He had a strange look on his face and didn't seem too happy to have some stranger standing on his doorstep. What is it? The young man thrust out the gallon of milk. Here, I brought this to you. The man took the milk, rushed down a hallway. Then from down the hall came a woman carrying the milk toward the kitchen. The man was following her holding a baby. The baby was crying. The man had tears streaming down his face. The man began speaking and half crying, we were just praying. We had some big bills this month and we ran out of money. We didn't have any milk for the baby. I was just praying and asking God to show me how to get some milk. The wife in the kitchen yelled out, I asked him to send an angel with some milk. Are you an angel? The young man reached into his wallet and pulled out all the money he had on him and put it in the man's hand. He turned and walked away toward his car and the tears were streaming down his face. He knew that God still spoke to people and answered their prayers. There is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting people up. John Holmes. The most truly generous persons are those who give silently without hope of praise or reward. Carol Rybrank.